Hello all. I'm just down at Thankyou Bay. I just finished like 7 days back-to-back shifts. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning and I finished at 10 to 1. I'm just totally exhausted. So what I've done is I've come down to Thankyou Bay. That's just on the outskirts of Dundee. So I'll come down here just to have a break. Just to chill out. Fortunately, the weather is crap, but I've just got to make do with it. But no, what I was wanted to mention was just wanted to say a few things about the Mandela Effect. Now, sorry, excuse me a minute. Yeah, I was just sorting. Yeah, the Mandela Effect. Yeah, what a suggestion, if you're interested to know what the phenomenon is about. There's stuff online. If you've seen the previous videos about it, then you'll have an idea where I'm coming from. But if you haven't saw the previous videos about the Mandela Effect, you may have heard of it already. But if you haven't, in a nutshell, what I suggest you do is, if you go online, this is just like to get an idea as to what it's about, and just type in the Mandela Effect. Mandela Effect. Type that in and do a bit of research on it. You know, do your own research on it. That's really the best that I could say on that, really, because everything from here on then is just hearsay from what I say. You know, I'm only going to just tell you my experiences of the Mandela Effect. My personal experiences of the Mandela Effect. I genuinely believe in it because I've experienced it firsthand. Now, the name Mandela Effect, I didn't name it that. That's just what it's widely known as. You know, it seems to be just named after the death of Nelson Mandela. But he didn't die till 2030. It's a long story. But you're better to research into it and you'll have an idea. But I will sort of say, as I go along, just where I'm coming from. Like, so I've got my globe again here. It's just a couple of things on here that have changed for me. Now, it'll seem absolutely, if you don't know what the Mandela Effect is, it'll just seem absolutely bonkers. But I'm just going to explain what I've experienced with it. So I'm going to turn this camera on and show you the stuff on this globe. It's to do with the world maps. Okay. Right. Oh, by the way, while I'm down here, I'll just quickly show you Thankyou Bay. This Thankyou Bay there, Thankyou Bay, it's on the outskirts of Dundee. Runs, the River Tay runs from Perth to Dundee, and in the distance there is the Fife, and all that area is Thankyou Bay. It's right on the west suburbs of Dundee. Well, it's actually joint to Dundee. It's considered as Perth and Kinross district, but yeah, it's a nice place to come down to chill out after a long shift, long day. Right, back to the point. Yeah, the globe. This is actually what I've done is I've done a video prior to this one about the Mandela Effect, and I pointed out on that video that I remembered Australia being much further south. It was in, you know, it was surrounded by the ocean, but now it's way further north, nearer the equator in Papua New Guinea. It was never like that for me before. But the other things, there's lots of changes on the map that I've experienced, but I'm just going to point out a couple of them. France. I don't remember France ever being as far west as that. I don't remember it ever being as in line with Land's End like that. It just didn't seem right to me. That's changed. And also Germany. I don't remember Germany ever having a coast. It was always landlocked. I'm not great with geography, but I do pick out some of these changes. Also, this land here is a lot closer to Spain. I don't remember it being quite that close. I mean, there's lots of changes. This is just a couple of examples I'm showing you just now. Yeah, France is far more. This bit here is just, I don't remember it ever being like that. So that's just this globe and showing you as an example. But the thing is, it's not just that this is an accurate globe or anything like that. It's not that. That's not the point. It's on everything, every map now. I've heard some people say it's because land masses move and all that, but not to this degree. And even still, that doesn't account for the changes on the actual globes and maps. This globe's never left my house. It's never been altered in any way. So that's in the North Pole as well. You know, I remember an ice cap being displayed on maps. I don't even ever remember the magnetic north, like moving like the way it is now. You were always able to set your compass by it, and that was it. It would never change. So I'll just turn this camera back down again. Yeah, so as I said, I was just showing you a rough idea when coming from for the changes on the map. So there's loads of things, but like I say, I mean, there's lots of stuff online. You do your research. Some of the stuff I could relate to, you know, and there's other things I wouldn't know one way or another. But the stuff I showed you on the map there, these changes, I've actually noticed them myself, and I think the one with France, I don't remember seeing that anywhere online, so I never had the idea put into my head, and then sort of like reinforcing it by, you know, collaborating with it. And this is stuff I mean, there's lots and lots of stuff that I can see myself. So I mean, there's tons of stuff. Even at this Kangaroo Bay, I've got to go out for a walk and I'll show you what I mean, but there's changes here also. On a previous video I showed you like a bump on my wrist. I can't really point. I'm going to have to change this camera view around and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so I'm trying to balance this camera at the same time as show you what I was talking about. It was on my previous video. But this, I'm trying my best to show you, but this here, this bump. Now, I said on my other video that it was never there before, and then I sort of like said it was. But what I meant by that is, I was never there before until, you know, since I wasn't there at all until recently. That's what I mean. And then it appeared, and I was wondering, well, you know, this has appeared, and then it went away again. Then it came back. That's what I meant. But it kind of like sounded a bit contradictory, but what I meant is I wasn't born with, this is the bone, this is solid bone. I've heard suggestions that it could be fluid, but it's solid bone. But I was on my right hand wrist as well at one time, but it's no longer there now. I'll try and show you. So I've got my watch off. It's difficult to hold this camera at the same time, but it used to be, it was once there on my right wrist, but it's no longer, it disappeared, it's never returned up to now. And this happened on the left as well. It appeared for the first time and I wondered what it was. I didn't, you know, I wasn't born with it. It was only until recently this happened. And then it kind of like went away and then it came back again. But now also, since the last time I done that video on this bump, it's moved again. It's moved to here. Now you must think I'm daft, but you must think I'm crazy saying that. But and dead on and honest, and I know what I'm talking about. It was further along. It's kind of moved there, but I'm not going to go on about it too much. It's like either, you know, it's just my word, really. And it's up to you. If you understand the Mandela effect, then you would appreciate it, what I mean, where I'm coming from. Right, I'll turn this. Yeah, so, I'll turn this camera back then. So there's like parts of the bodies that's changed as well with the Mandela effect. Now, I'm not going to go on too long about it. I mean, I suggest if you watch, I mean, there's loads of stuff online. I've done a video about some of the body parts changing, moving and stuff, but I was just going to mention that to you. I believe in like synchronicity as well. It's like coincidences. So coincidence is, you know, is one thing. I mean, it could be just simply dismissed as a coincidence, but when it happens too often, just too blatant, it becomes a bit, to me it's like synchronicity, where it's, you could say like it's fate, it's meant to happen. I mean, I've done a couple of videos about, what was it? No, it was the Balgay Bridge, the Midnight Walk. I've done 2 videos about that. And I turned up after 12 o'clock. The first time I done it, I showed the time on the car dashboard, the clock on the dash, to show you that it was after midnight. It was actually 19 minutes past midnight, and it turned to 20 past midnight. That's what it showed on the first video when I showed what it was. Now, I done the video, the second one, just a week later. About a week after. It was after my shift, and I didn't plan on this. I just planned on doing it when I got around to it after my late shift. I didn't even look at the time. I knew it was late because it was dark, and I was doing the introduction for the video as I did before, and I turned the camera around and showed you the time on the dashboard, on the clock. Now, I never rehearsed this. I didn't do this. So as it turned out, it was 20 past midnight. And, you know, you might think that you could think that I did that so it was at the same time as the last time. Well, it wasn't. I didn't plan on that. It just happened that way. I mean, I'm only saying this, and it's only that you take the value of what I'm, you know, on the value I'm saying, but I'm not. And I just put it out there, whether you make whatever if you want, believe it if you want. But I know for a fact I didn't plan to be there at that particular exact time, and it just turned out that it was. So that's, and there's much more coincidences happening lately. They're much more what could you say? More intense, just more frequent, more often. And like this morning, there's another example. When I got up from my early shift, I was out of bed for 4 o'clock this morning, and I was going away to send a text to a worker, a colleague. Right, colleague of mine. I was going to text him about something. So I got my bed and switched the phone on. You know, it was all ready, waiting on it. You know, getting all, because the phone sometimes takes a minute just to get all set up and that. So once it was ready, I got a notification for it was a message. It was a Facebook friend request. Yeah. That came up. It was the person. I didn't even suggest to him that I was on Facebook, or I wasn't asking him to send a request or anything like that. But that, as I say, this morning at 4 o'clock, I was going to send him a message about something else. But before I got a chance to put the message on, type it in, I got the notification. So I read the notification first. And it was a friend request from the guy I was about to send a message to. So, you could dismiss it as coincidence, or it's just, it's happening far too frequent. It's just too blatant. There's been many times where I've actually going to be able to pick the phone up to phone somebody, and I've had a message from them just come through at that point. I could give you a list of them, but I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I'm going to try and get some other points made as well. So yeah, the bone moved on my wrist. I've mentioned the time, the text, Facebook. The global change as well. There's lots of stuff on the globe. There is a thing I will say about the land. I mean, again, it's using apps, but there's an app on Google Maps, Google Map, and you could get the distance between 2 points. Well, basically, in a nutshell, I done a check on the distance between my house and Craigaville Hull as the crow flies. Now, I've known for years it was about 8 miles. But when I put this Google Map, use the Google Maps app, put the distance calculator on it, and I thought I'd try it out on there. And it came up just over 5 miles. So what I done then is I got the old maps where I'd done the calculations before. I changed on that as well, didn't it? So the maps hadn't changed because I haven't left the house and nobody's changed the maps. So distances are changing there, but only I haven't actually got out with a measuring tape and measured it from my house to Craigaville. But I've used means of doing it like maps, Google, etc., etc., and it's changed the name. So, I mean, like, what else is on those? Time, like the perception of time. I mentioned in another video that the actual time sped up. Meaning that I'm not slowing down. I mean, I was able to finish a shift, go home, do the stuff that I needed to do, and be in my bed for a certain time. I was able to do that before. And just within the recent years, couple of years, it's intensified a lot. The time is actually, it's sped up, meaning that I can do the exact same stuff I used to do before, but I can't get to my bed until much later. I can't do as much as I used to. And I'm not slowing down. I'm actually trying my best to speed up to get as much done as I used to do. And working and racing to get things done. The same stuff I used to do, no bother at all. And I can't do it now. And just very briefly explaining and sort of like covering a few of the subjects that I'm genuinely first-hand experiencing. These windows are steaming up a bit. It's just because it's such a miserable day. Yeah. So yeah, time is sped up. I mean, it sounds, it might just seem ridiculous to me, but you either experience it or you don't. I genuinely experience it. I mean, I know somebody firsthand, meaning like I spoke to them face to face. I know somebody very well that's open-minded like me and experiences stuff you could say supernatural and believes in it. And got lots of like theories on it as well. I don't understand why, or I should say I don't understand how I can't explain how it's happening in words. I don't think the words could explain it. But I'll tell you, I do experience it. I don't understand what's causing it or what it's about or anything, but I definitely experience it. Yeah, I'm going to get out. It's raining. It goes off a bit. I'll show you. I'll use the other camera actually, and I'll show you some of the signs. Some of the things that have changed here, for me anyway, as far as the Mandela Effect is concerned. But when I speak to people about the Mandela Effect, various people, I mean, there's like terms now. There's terms. I've done research on the Mandela Effect online, and they've come out with these repetitive phrases for things like, for example, Mandela Effect. You know, if you are Mandela affected, or if you're the unaffected. You know, the Mandela unaffected. The Mandela Effect residue. There's things like that. It always, you know, timelines and stuff like that. These are like categories that they use, terms that they use to refer to when they're putting information like that online. Or even just speaking in general, they're categorising something. But the thing about categorising things is that you're putting a definitive, you're defining it. When you categorise something, you're defining it. But it's like you know, it's difficult to explain really, but when you use words, it's only going to give you an idea rather than what it actually, you know, what the whole thing's about. It's a deep subject, like, but words I don't think can really explain it. Well, not at the moment. But yeah, when I've spoke to like people, as they call the unaffected, that's the term that's used. That I've found when I've done my research online, I've found that term has been used regularly on various research sub-articles that I've looked at, i.e. videos and stuff I've read up on about it. This term's been used a lot, the unaffected, like people that don't experience the Mandela Effect. Although I don't fully think that that's the case. I think that there's things happening that maybe just haven't understood yet. I mean, they're subconscious. But I don't want to drift off the subject, but like people that are, like say, unaffected, I could point an example out to them, and they'll see it, and they'll be like, they'll realise that something's happened. You know, they'll agree, and they'll know that something's not right. In other words, they'll experience something, the Mandela Effect. And then when you see them again, maybe a day or so later, it just seems like that it's not really sunk in. It's like they're not really interested now. You know, they take it on board. They take it on board the first time, and then the second time it's sort of kind of like dismissed, if you like, and it's just forgotten about. It's not. They've never sort of like looked into it. They haven't said to me that, oh, I've thought about that and I've done research. No, they just seem to have dismissed it. You know, but they've realised it at the time when they first mentioned it, and it's not like they're just going along with it, because it's blatantly obvious that something's changing. They could see it for themselves, but then later on it's sort of dismissed, and that happens a lot. I've experienced that a lot when I've talked to people about the Mandela Effect. But then it's something similar to me as well. I mean, I know that you get told supernatural stories, you hear them at the time and it's exciting, and then later on it's sort of put on the back burner and then you do other things. It's like a way of thinking, a mind condition, and how that happens, but I don't want to dwell too much on about that. It's just that for the length of the video. I could do other videos and focus in on it, but there was one time actually I was out hiking was in a member of a hike club. We do hill walking basically around about Scotland. Excuse me a minute, I'm just gonna. Yeah, I was checking the memory. Yeah. So when I was out hill walking, I was looking at, we could see the sights, see for miles, you get the views for the hills in the distance and that. And one day I was hiking and I saw this very, very thin line, like it's just like a mast in the distance. But this would have been some size of mast, because the distance that I was looking at must have been about 60, 70 miles maybe. And for a mast to be seen from the ground up to the sky, the way I saw it, the mast would need to be 60, 70 miles high. It would have to be enormous. And the distance on the horizon that I saw the mast on the horizon, it was a good 60 miles anyway, at least. And to see a mast from the ground way up to as far as you could see in the sky, I don't know if it was a mast or not. It just looked like a very thin, very, 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 very faint line, vertical line, just going up. I'm sure there was maybe one or two of them, but it was, if you looked at it long enough, it would sort of go in and out of focus. You wouldn't see it. It's that faint. That's how faint it was, but I was able to make it out. I don't understand what it was like, so I pointed out to the other fellow hill walkers, some of them, and not all of them saw it, but a couple of them did see it, and went, "Oh yeah, I wondered what it was." Couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't either. I was amazed by it. Like, I've still not forgot about it. I'm still going on about it. But on the next hike, or later on, when I saw them again on future hikes, I asked them about it. I said, "Do you remember that mast we saw?" And, it just seems it's like they weren't really. It was just forgotten about. It wasn't really, they just sort of, oh, right, yeah. It never sort of sank in. I don't think they really appreciated what it was that they saw, because there's no structure that I could imagine being this, there isn't any structure that I know of in Scotland that it's like a mast, 60, 70, it'd have to be about 60 miles high to be seen like that from the standpoint that I was at. There isn't anything like that. I'm totally baffled as to what it was, but nobody seems to have brought the subject up other than me. But they, some of them saw this for themselves, but it's like it's just been dismissed, But yeah, I mean, Mandela Effect residue is something else. That's quite an interesting thing, because it's almost like it's proof that the old reality was like. I mean, I say the word reality, that's what the terminology that's commonly used. During my research, I've come across those terms being used a lot, like the phrase Mandela Effect, residue, timelines, dimensional shifts. I mean, I believe it were consciousness anyway. Like, that was us as humans. I mean, not just humans, but every living thing is consciousness. And we've always been here, always have, always will. It's not like time. Time's like the past is the present, and the future is like, it's all there. I believe, but I'm not going to go too deep into that. But the Mandela Effect residue, again, I done research online, and I saw, like, for an example, I'm trying to think of an example. The spelling of Volkswagen is a good one, because I could relate to that one. There's lots of stuff at the time when I came across that Mandela effect. Volkswagen for me was always ended in O-N. It was wagon. Volkswagen. Had O-N at the end. That was the last two letters in the word Volkswagen. It was O and N. But now the history's changed. It's never been like that. It's always been E and N. Wagen. E and N. But I could relate to that one because I've got car books and I read car books. I've read the books I've had for about 30 years. And I've never left out of it. They haven't been tampered with. And they've changed on that as well. It's changed to EN. So, I've done research online. I went online and I typed in the old spelling, the way it used to be. O-N. And quite a lot of stuff came up. It was all different sites. It wasn't just one site that made a spelling mistake. It was all different sites. I screen saved it as well. You know, it's like there's no way that, I mean, these were official. They were official Volkswagen sites. You know, they were selling cars and stuff. They were dealing in cars. They were in the motor trade. So they couldn't. I don't believe that all these sites that I came across online spell Volkswagen incorrectly with an O at the end of it. No, I don't believe it. I believe that was Mandela Effect residue. In other words, it's like when the changes happen, it's like a lag, like a delay. It could take time for all the history to change. So if there's a delay or a lag, then the residue would be the stuff that's left that hasn't changed yet. It's not been updated. It's like updating reality. That's maybe a good way to explain it. It's like when you update, it's like reality has been updated, but the residue is the stuff that's awaiting to be updated. The camera just cut off there. What it was is I ran out of memory, so I took the memory off the camera internal, put it on the SD. In case you wondered why it stopped all of a sudden, it was, I have to watch the full memory. I've just been going on that much. I can't remember. Where was I now? The residue, Mandela Effect residue. Yeah, it could be that, like, if it's been updated. I don't know what it is. But what I do see, like, when I went online and I saw all these sites that had the old spelling of Volkswagen, wagon. That was how it used to be. It was O-N at the end of it. It was always that way. I mean, I could give you a list of stuff, lots of them. I'm not going to just focusing on this one at the moment. But yeah, there was lots of stuff online, all independently, different websites. It wasn't like it was just the one that made the same mistake, and it was all independent. It all made the same mistake. Apparently, it wasn't a mistake. It's just that, in my opinion, it was how it used to be. It used to be O-N at the end of it, but now it's changed to E-N. The history has changed, but there's like a delay, a lag. You know, like it's like it might take time for it to update, and the residue is the proof that it used to be O-N. But memories change. The memories also change because people remember. Some people remember it always being E-N. In other words, what we would call, or what I've heard of, they call it the Mandela Effect community. I didn't invent that word. That's what it's, when I do research, the term Mandela Effect communities comes up. I don't like to say that I believe everybody is Mandela affected, if you like, are able to do it. I don't like to think that I'm going to speak. I won't speak for others, but I'll say I don't like to think that I am like special or superior to anyone else. I don't want to think that that I've got this extra supernatural whatever, you know. I can see this, and it's just like this elite, this group, this community and nobody else's. You know, the ones that are unaffected are, you know, like giving it sides, unaffected and the Mandela Effect community. And it's like putting sides up there. It's like barrier. It's like those that don't know are unaffected and those that know are affected. To me, it's like the ones that are called unaffected might not understand yet. They are experiencing yet what's happening with what they call the Mandela Effect. So it's not like that they'll never, you know, the unaffected. It's you know, the unaffected are human, and they. So we're all. You know, I should have. The unaffected are able, quite possibly. We're all the same. Maybe there's no others that are superior. You know, we're all human. We're all consciousness. Like, we're all human consciousness. Animals, you know, living. Anything that's alive is conscious, and we're all consciousness. So that goes for the Mandela community, the unaffected. I'm maybe going on about this. I'm maybe going on. What I'm trying to say is I don't like. It's not like. When you put sides up, you put a barrier. It's like barriers, unaffected, and the Effect community. I'm kind of going on about it anyway. I just like to think that we're all, and sure, I believe that we can all experience this. We're just at different stages at the picture. That's maybe a better. Like at this moment, I could see the changes. I see the Mandela Effect. I experience it. Those that claim that believe that they're not experiencing it are saying that because they believe it, they're not. They don't understand it. They just haven't experienced it yet. It's not like they'll never will. It's just that they haven't experienced it yet. And when they do, like, you know, I believe that we all have this. And I can't believe that people really genuinely believe that this is all there is to life and that these things don't exist. I just won't believe it. I cannot believe that some people, I cannot believe that some people genuinely don't believe that this is impossible and what they've been taught is all there is. No, I can't believe that deep down. I believe deep down people know there's a lot more to life than what we see around the mundane, the everyday life. I've always believed it. I know because I feel it, but that doesn't mean to say that you've got to believe me. No. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to, you know, if you do your own research, then you'll believe yourself. I just put it out my experiences. I'm not asking anybody to believe me. I'm just telling you what I've experienced firsthand. And, you know, I'm not saying that a Mandela Effect is part of the community as such. It's not. I don't like to think that in any more special or worse. I don't believe that anybody's any. I believe we're all equal. It just seems like the way the system has it, the way we live, the lifestyle we live. You've got all these dividing. If you're more academic and all this. I'm not going to go on about that. I'm going way off the subject, but can't remember. Yeah, the Mandela Effect residue. It's just like, you know, I've seen it. The spelling of Volkswagen is one example that I'm going to say just now. I'd have to do a longer video on other residues, but. If you go online, and I mean, I've done a lot of stuff online, research online, but that doesn't mean to say that the stuff I researched online, it's not like I'm learning the stuff offline and saying just repeating what it is. No, the stuff I've researched online is only just that. The stuff I've experienced firsthand, and the stuff that I go online to do the research on, some of it I could relate to. Like, I didn't know that the spelling of Volkswagen had changed until I stumbled on it when I was doing other research on Mandela Effect. I came across this one, and that one hit me because it's like, Jesus, it's changed. So, gee whiz, it changed. And so I went and got the books that I had in my cupboard for years, decades. I looked at it all, and it changed on that as well. So that's there's definitely something going on. Like the Mandela Effect. I didn't name it that again. It's just it's what you type if you do research. It's widely known. The phenomena. That's what I call it. I don't know what. I don't understand why or what's happening at this stage and at a level where and witnessing and experiencing the changes, and yeah, I don't consider myself special or better than anybody else because I'm able to experience that. No, I'm not. They're all equal as far as, you know. I'm not talking about like, you know, when you got to start saying that rich, you got loads of money, and if you're poor, and if you're academic, and you're uneducated. Yeah, we're all the same. But yeah, I've covered quite a bit just now. I've not had much sleep. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out for some fresh air, then I'm going to show you a couple of Mandela effects that I've come across here at Thankyou Bay. And I'll try and explain that when I go out. So I'll switch this one off and put the other camera on. At least you'll get to see a wee bit of the bay anyway. Okay, thanks. Right, hello. That's just out the car now. It seems the rain's kind of gone off a bit. Yeah, so I was going to show you a couple Mandela Effect, the ones that I've experienced down here at Thankyou Bay. You'll get a wee bit of the view as well. Now, like I was saying earlier, I'm not for 1 minute saying or suggesting that anybody that uses or classes the Mandela Effect community, I'm not suggesting that anybody is suggesting that they're more superior than anybody else. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm not saying that because it's called the Mandela Effect community that we're in some sort of clique and we're better than everybody else. No, I'm not suggesting that. And I'm not suggesting that anybody in that is thinking or suggesting that. No. I just don't like taking, you know, I just think, and I think, I don't like dividing, categorising, if you like. I don't like sort of saying, like the unaffected. You know, because I've heard that phrase being used. I've come across it a lot in my research, online research. You see, the only thing that gets me on that is that saying that they're unaffected. It just doesn't necessarily mean that they're not affected. It's just maybe that at that stage they're not experiencing it. They're not understanding. It's just not their time to understand it yet. So just try to emphasise that and just making it really clear that I'm not suggesting that anybody is saying because they're Mandela affected that they're saying that they're better. I'm not saying that at all. Just making that clear that I'm not suggesting that. Hope you can hear me with this wind. It's just a bit breezy. I'm showing you the side anyway. That's the River Tay that runs, basically the River Tay runs from Loch Tay up at Ken, runs right through Perth and then into Dundee and then out by the Brock Ferry, into Tay Estuary and then into the North Sea. So the sign here, this width restriction, that was never there before as far as I'm concerned. But I've looked back on early maps on Google, and apparently it's been there all the time. But there's one thing when I said about residue, they used to run buses up this route years ago. They used to have full-size single-decker buses going along this road. A bus service. They wouldn't run a bus service if that sign was there, because it's too narrow. But they used to run buses along this road. But that apparently has been there all the time. So something doesn't add up, does it? It's like, see, that's like Mandela Effect residue. Because it wouldn't make any sense to run a bus service with full-size buses on a road that's got a width restriction for buses, because buses are wider. The full-size buses are about 8 feet wide. That's way too, that would be too narrow for a bus to go along. But yet you used to run buses along here. In fact, when I was sitting there doing in the car there just a few minutes ago, there's a big coach came along this way. There isn't any width restriction on this road, but yet there's a sign saying the width restriction. So it just doesn't really, you know, when the residue's there, things don't make sense, you know, because it's like, it's just no, things don't add up, because there's merging, there's a difference in the, well, you could say they call it the timelines or the realities. If they're merging, they're not going to, you know, there's got like the old residue, the way things used to be, merging with the way things are to now, as it's not updated yet. But that was definitely it never used to be there, that sign. I only discovered that recently, in the last couple of years. That's when the Mandela Effect, well, I mean, the phrase Mandela Effect, I've come across experiences that I can understand well before 2016, 2017. I only just came across the name, the phenomenon, the Mandela Effect, back in late 2016. I was actually early 2016 that I started. I was doing research on other things, but I'm not going to talk about that on this video. Stuff that was just incredible. It's online, but yeah, I'll just let these cyclists past. So while they're passing, I'll show you the bay. So basically, it's a popular route for cyclists. It's a nice cycle route actually, from Kanguri to Perth. It's all flat. This road, it's all flat. It goes through Errol and everything. It's a nice cycle route. From here to Perth, it's about 20 mile. I've cycled it from Venus Hill. It's 21.5 miles. So it's a 43 mile round trip on the level. It's nice, but yeah. So the other Mandela Effect for me here in this area, my personal ones. And when I say personal, I don't mean that it's mine and nobody else should. Other people may have noticed this as well. Just what I mean is that it's the ones I've discovered myself. I'm not wanting a gold star skin or anything like that because I've discovered it. No, I'm just pointing out that this is the one that I've experienced. I didn't find anything prior to that. I just stumbled on it myself. I'm not saying that I'm the only one. Other people may have as well, but it's to do with this. So it's not really going to be any difference with turning around, so I'm just going to keep it this way. But this lay-by here, as far as I was concerned, it was on the other side of the road. It was on, well, it was actually just a bit further down. It was on the opposite side of the road, but further down a bit. It was about just prior to the 30-mile-an-hour sign. There was a lay-by there. There was definitely a lay-by there. Because I remember back in 2011, I think it was 2012, 2013, thereabouts, maybe, well, it was much recent than that, it was maybe 24, but on a few occasions anyway, I remember sitting on the lay-by that was on that side. Like, I remember sitting there having something to eat in my car. I was eating well, I can't remember, it was a takeaway or something. But I was sitting in that lay-by. I've used it before on other occasions, and it was definitely on that side. That's the side the railway's on. Now, if you look at it, it seems now, because it's changed, the history's changed. The lay-by's there. That's possible on the river side, the River Tay side. But if you look back at it now, it's impossible for a lay-by to have ever been where I remember it being, because there's a steep embankment, so there's not enough room. So there's not enough room for sorry. I'm just wondering about the camera. Excuse me. Right. No, I mean, it was about there, the lay-by. It was just about there. And as you can see, there's no way you could get a lay-by there. So the whole thing, the whole land, everything has changed. It's impossible. But yet, there was definitely a lay-by there. It seems like ridiculous, but there was definitely a lay-by, because, as I say, I remember sitting there having a takeaway in my car. More than one occasion, but because things have changed that much, it's now impossible for it to ever have been there. That's just shows you the extent of the Mandela effect and what it's capable of. But that's just one example. That's two examples that I've come across myself here down at Thankyou Bay. I'll tell you a ghost story as well, and I'm not making this up. I was coming back from the cinema one night. It was after, it must have been near midnight, and the wall here, this wall, excuse me a minute, I'm going to just, excuse me a minute. Yeah, what I was doing, I was just putting a break in the video, so it wasn't going to be too long in that. Yeah, where was it? Yeah, that lay-by, this dike. I came back from the cinema one night. It was a Sunday night, it was dark, and I come down the road in my car, down this road, coming into Thankyou, and I stopped on this side of the road here, put the car lights off, just to have a chill out. Probably had a can of juice or something. I was sitting in the car anyway, just unwinding after I was thinking back to the film. I was just sitting casually there, and then I looked up, you know, I must have let down for something, and then I looked up just at the windscreen and saw there was two people sitting there on the wall, facing out that way. Two people were sitting there. Now, I mean, I drove in from this direction, so the headlights would have lit them up. I would have seen them, eh? You know what I mean? I was coming into Thankyou. You know, I was driving it was dark, I had the headlights on, so when I parked on this side of the road, the headlights would have shown me that there was two people there, so I would have spotted them. I only sat there about 2 or 3 minutes. Now, they couldn't have just came there in that time, because it's quite a bit of walk. I would have clocked that. I just say I was in my car, I was getting something, probably picking something off the drop somewhere, whatever. I was looking the other way, and then I looked up to the windscreen, and there was just two people there all of a sudden, sitting, just looking out to the bay. Kid you not. So what I'd done then is I got spooked by that. I just calmly just put everything back, and I just drove away. I didn't feel comfortable. I was spooked by it, but I was amazed by it as well. It was exciting. And I never came here for a wee while after that. At that time, what I'd done from then on is I sat further up near that lamppost, because I was a bit spooked sitting there. But that was a few years ago. But just a point about that lay-by. I'm just going to maybe watch the time on this video, because it's going on a bit. But that lay-by, some people might think that it's been landscaped. That wasn't it. It was, this road was resurfaced, but it was nothing to do with that, because this, I checked back Google Maps, and that lay-by was never there, even back as far back as 2009. As far back as the map could go on Google, and it was never there where I remember it. And I remember being there in a certain car that I had that was after 2011, so it was there. So I kind of like rattled on a bit about that, so I'm just going to make my way back to the car. If you don't understand what the Mandela Effect is, at least you've got a wee bit of a view of Goody Bay. It's not a nice daylight, but so what. Anyway, we're going to end the video now because it's starting to get a bit long and I've got other things to do as well, but I've enjoyed doing this and I hope that you found it interesting. Like I said, the Mandela Effect and Mandela affected people, it's just a term that they use for simplicity. I believe it's just so that they could use it as a, you know, if you're not affected, then they just say the non-affected, unaffected, you know, people. But for me, that doesn't mean that they're never going to be experiencing it. It doesn't mean that because we've experienced it, we're better than them. No, it doesn't. I'm not suggesting anybody that experiences a Mandela Effect is suggesting that they're better than anybody because they are. And I'm not saying that, by no means. Just making that clear. I'm not saying that anybody's suggesting anything that they're better than anyone or anything like that because they could understand it and others can't. It's just a term that I've seen online being used a lot, the unaffected and the Mandela Effect community. I don't invent these terms. I don't consider myself part of any community. I'm not any better or worse off. I'm not any better than anybody else. And because I experience a Mandela Effect doesn't mean I'm superior to anyone else. It just means that I'm experiencing what I believe to be supernatural. And I find it fascinating and I want to learn more about it. And I want to try and relay that over to other people. And I've tried hard before, but I've been disappointed because it doesn't work out. It seems to just go into an auto reset. It's like they forget, or they just doesn't seem to sink in with them. They just lose interest in it. But I'll save it all for another video. I'm going to have to end this one. Make what you like of the video. I just put it out for, you know, I'm not doing it for anything other than I just want to express myself on these videos and just tell you what I feel about the Mandela Effect. Think what, you know, comment, like, subscribe, whatever. But no, I hope you've enjoyed it. And well, thanks for listening. Okay.